We'll begin the meeting soon. I'd like to welcome everybody today. I'm President Garcia Morales, and I call this regular board meeting of September 26, 2024 to order. The time is 5:01 p.m. I'd like to remind everybody to please silence their electronic devices. We acknowledge the land on which we gather today is the territorial homelands of the Nuwu, the Mawapa Band of Paiutes, and the Las Vegas Band of Paiutes. Before I turn it over to Trustee Johnson to lead the Pledge of Allegiance, I want to acknowledge our students who are coming in from Rancho High School, ROTC, Cadet Second Lieutenant Tucker Lyle, Cadet Second Lieutenant Ryan White, Cadet Second Lieutenant Marco Suarez, Cadet Senior Airman Nicholas Spindle, Instructor United States Air Force Retired Chief Master Sergeant Lee Babosoli. Trustee Johnson. Please have a seat. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Trustee Zamora, who will make the motion to approve the agenda.
Madam President, members of the board, I would like to make a motion to adopt the agenda and the amended agenda with the following changes. Revised reference material has been provided for item 2.11, amended 2024B building bond oversight. Revised reference material has been provided for item 2.12, amended 2024C medium-term bond resolution. Reference material has been provided for item 3.01, superintendent search. Additional reference material has been provided for item 3.02, superintendent search timeline.
Thank you, Trustee Zamora. Trustee Baron?
Yes. Before I make a motion to approve this, earlier in this week, I sent an email to.
Trustee Baron?
Yes.
Are you going to make the motion?
I'm not going to make a motion. I had made.
You are not making the motion? Got it.
You're not going to cut me off.
Trustee, excuse me, Trustee Baron. Trustee Baron. Trustee Baron. Trustee Baron. If you would like to, if you have a concern, you're welcome to speak to me later. Thank you. We're going to move on, colleagues, because we have other colleagues in the queue. Trustee Bustamante Adams. Trustee Baron?
Yes.
Do we need to take a recess?
I'm not going to take a recess. We should be in front of an open meeting. Now,
colleagues, do we need to take a recess?
We're not going to take a recess. All we need is a simple.
Okay. Trustee Baron, you have exceeded your time. Colleagues, I'm going to ask you to please ask Trustee Baron to accept that he is not on the mic. This is not your turn to speak anymore. Thank you. Trustee Baron, colleagues, I'm going to ask for a, are you going to continue to interrupt the meeting?
I'm asking for
Yeah.
an appeal.
Trustee Baron? How about we have a recess?
No, I think we should address this in
Colleagues,
an open meeting.
it is 5:05. We'll take a recess until 5:10. We'll be right back. Trustee Baron? We are resuming the meeting at 5:11 PM. Trustee Bustamante Adams?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to second Trustee Zamora's motion with the approved amendments.
Thank you. All right, colleagues, we have a motion by Trustee Zamora and a second by Trustee Bustamante Adams. Please cast your vote. Thank you, colleagues. That motion passes 6-0. We're now going to move on to the consent agenda. Before I open the consent agenda, is there anyone who's not had a chance to complete the yellow public speaker card? If not, please do so now. Come on up, please. Oh, you don't? Okay. Oh, yes, forgive me. Turn in the card to one of our fabulous team members up front, or Mr. Caruso will collect that from you. Thank you. We'll begin with individuals who signed up in advance, and then we'll go through the yellow cards. Okay, great. All right. Chris Giunciliani, you're up first.
Good evening. For the record, Chris Giunciliani. At the Debt Management Committee meeting, they voted for an added intent that the bond covenants had to recognize Lundy or another facility as an asset, and that it be included so that Mount Charleston continues to have an asset since we pay the highest tax rate in the state. I don't see any reference to the asset being maintained in your backup information. Also, I was told the minutes would accompany the resolution for the bond covenant, and I don't see them attached as well. In addition, we are still asking that Lundy be added to the CIP list, which should have been modernized or rebuilt due to its over 40 years of age. I'll point out that the CIP list has 12 schools proposed that are for construction that are all younger than Lundy. Now, on the item delaying the timeline for the superintendent, recommend option 1, that you should take a look at that. It'll allow leadership profile and applications to be more focused, and
Chris,
reasonable
that's
time.
a presentation. Forgive me, can we pause our time, please? Thank you. No, thank you. You are welcome to speak on that. That is an actual an action item. That's at 3.01. Would you like me to add 3.01 to your?
Yes,
you are.
because I called in before they did the amended agendas.
Oh, you're good. Yes. So do you want to hold those comments after the presentation?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay,
Anything
thank you.
else?
Yes. In addition to that, 2.23 is also on consent. There's no backup information justifying the need for this item. Why do you need an outside professional design services business to consult on the facility master plan? Last time, CCSD held 8 public input meetings and determined guiding principles for the future program. Why not do that again instead of wasting $5.7 million on a design firm? Oh, and they don't have a business license in Clark County nor at the state level, so you should not be doing business as a public employee group with unlicensed businesses. Once again, this could be done in-house. After public meetings, it usually goes to the Bond Oversight Committee according to your old process, then to the trustees. The process doesn't appear to be broken, so there's no need for a consulting service. This type of mismanagement expense will cause the legislature to question whether the bond rollover even should be extended. It would force you to go back to the public for bond approvals. So you need to be careful on how you expend your bond dollars. If you can't ever repair a fully functional school like Lundy, yet waste $5.7 million, your judgment will be questioned. Then on the settlement that's on the agenda, I know under the guise of confidentiality, you won't be able to provide anything specific. However, there should be some information regarding what warranted a $650,000 payout. How does the public know what mistakes or discrimination may have occurred and what training or behavior changes will come about based on what happened and caused the negotiated settlement? I think you did a huge payout last month as well. The public should be provided with a description of the issues, the efforts taken to fix the problem. This won't violate your confidentiality or settlement agreement, and it's time to look back maybe at least a year's worth of these types of settlement payouts to see what type of behaviors were occurring and what was done to make sure that they were implemented. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. Okay, Vicki Crydell.
Good evening. My name is Vicki Crydell. I'm a reading teacher in CCSD and the president of NEA of Southern Nevada. I'm speaking on 2.15, the recruitment presentation. I fully support a revision of how we do recruitment, and I especially support doing our best to recruit a more diverse pool of licensed educators. But I want to make it clear, a better recruitment plan is not going to fix the shortage we're facing. You cannot recruit your way out of this. I hope that in the very near future, we will see an agenda item specifically addressing retention. Prioritizing how to retain the licensed educators we have now is truly the only way we can reduce our current teacher shortage, because if you don't address retention, all these shiny new teachers you recruit will just leave also. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicki. Abraham Camejo?
Hello, trustees and community. I want to speak in behalf of, Abraham Quebec for the record. I want to speak in behalf of the parents and the community and the students that attend Von Tobel Middle School. On Saturday, the community lost water in the community, affecting school and elementary and homes, and community didn't have water on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Von Tobel started school on Monday, and they had no working water in the facilities. I reached out, spoke with parents, and my office is actually down the street, and no porta potties were brought down. School should have been canceled, in my opinion. Parents were interviewed and on Fox 5, and they were told by the school that if they needed to go number 2, to hold it. I have an issue with that because on a job site as a risk manager, I cancel job sites and send people home. So Nevada law requires that the minimum number of toilets and laboratories and drinking fountains in accordance with the Uniform Plumbing Code, these facilities must be accessible at all times, especially for classrooms and vocational education areas. OSHA requires employers to provide all workers with sanitary and immediately available toilet facilities, restrooms, and sanitation standards according to CFR 29-1910.141 and CFR 1926.51. These are OSHA regulations, are intended to ensure that workers do not suffer adverse health and effects that can result in if toilets are not sanitizing and available. I have a community of students, and I went to Von Tobel as a little kid. They do not know their rights. If this school was in Green Valley, Henderson, Summerlin, not on Pecos and Cary, those parents would have contacted and canceled school. I reached out to friends within the school district in the facilities, and the school district does have a risk management plan for this to be in play, but it was not activated. It did not go forward with it. And our students had no bathrooms to use for the entire day. Teachers did not have bathrooms to use during that day. How do you wash your hands? The emergency plan was not in play. That is a concern I have for my community, and I speak because I speak English, and the families that are affected speak Spanish, and they don't know the right. Next time this happens, just cancel school, let the municipality fix the water leak, and then reopen the school. Thank you.
Thank you. Is Traylon? Terrellyn. Thompson. Thank you, Terrellyn. Is Terrellyn present? Oh, great. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, I'm short. Terrellyn Thompson for the record. Well, here we are once again. CCSD has unveiled a plan to address the ongoing teacher shortage. And once again, the focus seems to be solely on recruiting new teachers. While it's essential to bring fresh faces into our schools, I am deeply concerned that this approach overlooks a critical issue: retaining the dedicated educators we already have. What I'm about to say is not new information. Many of us have been saying this for years. Many teachers who have left CCSD in the past 2 years have been with the district for 5 years or less. Think about that. These are passionate, talented individuals who entered our classrooms with enthusiasm and dedication, only to feel unsupported and undervalued by the system. They didn't leave because they didn't care. They left because the conditions they face make it impossible to stay. Why aren't we asking ourselves, what are we doing to keep our experienced educators? Retention is just as important, if not more so, than recruitment. We should be focusing on amazing educators that we already employ in this district that spend their days working tirelessly to ensure that their students learn, even though many have overcrowded classrooms and overflowing plate of responsibilities and work 2 to 3 extra jobs just to pay their bills. In case you're wondering, I have 3. If we don't start addressing the reasons why teachers leave, we will continue to lose valuable educators at a faster rate than we can recruit new ones. It's time we prioritize retention as much as recruitment. Where is the data presentation on that? Our teachers and our students deserve better.
Thank you. Okay, colleagues, that concludes public comment. At this time, I am looking for a motion to adopt the consent agenda. Trustee Guzman? Oh, forgive me. We have one more. What's going on? What's going on? I see. Got it. Okay, sounds like, thank you for that, Joe. Sounds like there was a mix-up on the public comment card submission. Hi, can you please state your name into the record?
Sure. Hi. Hi again, guys. Jennifer D'Antuano Adams. How is everyone doing today? I'm sorry I'm back again. I am just reiterating a problem. Oh, sorry. I'm just reiterating a discussion that we have had earlier about recruitment and retention. I just want to start by saying that I'm returning as, I retired as a school administrator in December of 2023. I returned February 20th of 2024 as a 5th grade teacher in an elementary school. I was the 3rd teacher to work with these sweet babies. I just want to say a quick story. As a school administrator, I, of course, made lots of mistakes, like everyone usually does their first time out. I actually sent a bullying report out to the whole entire school. So every parent at Garrett Junior High got a message that said their child is being investigated for bullying. Huge mistake. Parents were texting their kids frantically. Kids were all upset. I went on the loudspeaker and I said, oh my gosh, guys, this is my fault. I made a mistake. I want to let you guys know I own this mistake. This is all me. I will immediately contact your parents and tell them it was my mistake. Funny, a student came up to me later and she goes, you didn't have to tell me you made a mistake. And I go, I did though. I think it's really important that you know adults make mistakes. And when we do, we better fix it. Going back to my position, I was hired in February. I was given a contract as a new teacher, making $104,000. I worked all year. I have a master's plus 45 additional above, or 2 master's plus 45 credits above. So I've been teaching for the district for 30 years. That was a contract that was offered me in February. In May, at the very end of May, received a phone call from Human Resources that said, oops, we made a mistake. There was an addendum added later on that we just signed now that said, if you were a prior school administrator, we're not going to give you that teacher salary. We're not going to even give you the old teacher salary you were on. We're going to give you a teacher it's called a special salary that places you that we did in 2015. Well, in 2015, I could buy my house for $300,000. I love that back then. Can't happen now, but that's what they're going to pay me. They dropped my salary to $69,000. And they said, oops, we can't really do anything about it. CCA and CCSD signed the memoranda in May. I started in February. They're backdating it till December 20th. Sorry. That's not an oops. That's a devastation. There are other administrators dying to come back into the classroom. Me especially. I loved being a teacher. Help me with this, please.
Thank you. Trustee Cavazos, I think colleagues were ready to make a motion on the consent agenda. I believe that concludes public comment. Trustee Cavazos.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I would like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda, but I'd like to request my colleagues to pull item 2.23, professional services agreement, consulting services, in the amount of $5,736,689 for separate discussion.
Okay. Trustee Zamora?
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to second that motion.
Okay, colleagues, we have a motion on the floor to adopt the consent agenda. And, I think the motion is to pull item 2.23 for separate discussion, not exactly to approve the consent. Trustee Cavazos?
Yes.
All right. Trustee Zamora, do you continue to accept that motion? That's a yes. Can you please go into the mic? Let's see, I will turn, yep, go ahead.
Yes.
All right, colleagues. So we have a motion to pull 2.23 for just separate discussion. We have a motion by Trustee Cavazos and a second by Trustee Zamora. Please cast your vote. Me too. All right, colleagues, so that motion passes. So we are discussing 2.23. Trustee Cavazos?
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, colleagues. I just wanted to bring to everybody's attention, first of all, in fairness to staff, that this was not one of the items that we were briefed on, and then if we have questions after a briefing, we are allowed to do follow-up questions to staff so that we are not ambushing them. And I did not know that Canon Design of Nevada Incorporated, I did go ahead and do some follow-up checking, but it was at the last minute, so again, that's on me, that they do not have a business license. What I'd like to broach right now briefly is to find out what exactly would be the consulting services in support of the facility master plan, and do we not have anybody internally that could do this? Because, it is a lot of money. I did read the file attachments, but I wonder if we could get some clarification on that.
Allow us 1 second while we have Dr. Larson Mitchell, her team settle in. Mr. McLaughlin, welcome.
Welcome. Madam President, members of the board, Brandon McLaughlin, Assistant Superintendent for the record. Trustee Cavazos, great question. So some of the services they are going to be providing is a robust community input process. They'll also be taking a third-party verification of a lot of the qualitative and quantitative data that is already housed within the facility services unit. They'll also then be continuing to iterate upon that based upon the sentiments heard, because I think our facility master plan has been very qualitative or quantitatively driven, which evidently has led to, I'd say, less than desirable outcomes, maybe of long-term endeavors of what we wanted to see of our facilities. So we want to hear that feedback. We want to be able to incorporate it in a meaningful way in a long-term facility framework that allows us to be very reactive, proactively reactive to all the things we hear of the desires of our community. I will test that Canon Design is, I'd have to verify their ability as a licensed business here. We can certainly look into some of those items. I will say they just led a very similar effort for Washoe County up north, so they are doing business in Nevada, and it was a very successful and well-received output from Washoe County that their board and community also accepted.
Okay. Are there other questions, colleagues? Trustee Cavazos, I'm going to return to you. Oh, forgive me.
I did have an additional question, but I wanted to let other colleagues weigh in first since I've already talked.
Okay. Trustee Bustamante Adams, I take that, do you have any questions at this time?
No,
Thank you.
Madam President, I was ready to make a motion.
Got it. Thank you. All right. And we'll come back to you in a second. I don't see any other questions in the queue. Trustee Cavazos? Looks like you may, oh, I see Trustee Brooks. I'm going to turn it over to her. All right. Trustee Brooks?
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to let you know that I looked up the company and they do have a business license and that they did work with Washoe County previously.
Thank you. Trustee Barron?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I think that during my briefing, I did ask if we could, as this contract was, if it got approved, as it is developing, if we could have timely updates as to the progress that they're making. I think that might go a long way. If this board does choose to approve this contract, it might be a form of keeping everybody, how to say, responsive to the contract. I'm not sure, I don't think that's a motion, but if it's already not in the contract, that the board will receive timely updates as to progress and the conduct of this contract, perhaps someone can make it, or perhaps I'd be making a motion to accept the contract with that condition, which of course, is an amendment to this, but it is acceptable.
Trustee Barron, we have, just for clarity, especially for new members who have been on the board for less than, inevitably the report comes back to the board. So just know that exists already as a process. Okay, Trustee Cavazos? Oh, I see. Do you mind if I go to Trustee Esparza again first? All right, let's go ahead.
Test, is it working? Brandon. So I guess I just have two questions. You're verifying that they're licensed, and are they contractors in the state of Nevada? And maybe it would let you answer that first. Just curious.
I guess I want to clarify the question. So you're asking, are they general contractors in the state of Nevada?
Correct.
So they're a professional service provider. They're a licensed, I believe, a limited liability professional services firm. They wouldn't qualify under the general contracting provisions. But I'd have to verify if they're a 623 professionally licensed architect, though they will not be performing, by definition, architectural services, but their skill set lends itself to this planning effort.
So is that a follow-up that we could definitely get from you to find out if they are?
I would actually, it is not specifically from Brandon that we would need to talk to Dr. Larson Mitchell, and I believe, is there already a process? Do we have additional information on what the presentation would look like for us, for the Board of Trustees in the future?
So I guess I'm trying to parse two questions. So I don't believe they're a general contractor. I can verify that if we hear anything differently, I will convey that with the superintendent to share with the board. I think the second question related to what Trustee Barone was asking about board touch bases. There are several touch bases that we will have throughout the effort with the board, very much mimicking the process Washoe County went with. They did their effort. They utilized their capital protection funding committee as a filter for some of those community output or engagement series. And there's a lot of touch bases that can occur, and I don't think the schedule is fully finalized yet. And so one of the things that will get determined between now and their efforts that starts in earnest will be what those presentations to the board will look like with the advisement of the board president.
Just another follow-up to that, Brandon. So thank you, because I know you have so many contracts and so many projects. So we're grateful for you to be able to compartmentalize. Is this group from out of the state of Nevada?
So they're actually a multidisciplinary firm. There are some that are located outside of Nevada, and there are Nevadans based within their firm as well. And so one that is most of note are two public engagement firms, Some New Marketing and Erica Avila's marketing group. So they will be the boots on the ground, canvassing neighborhoods, leading that effort, along with the national expertise that Canon Design offers with their mastery of educational facility planning.
Thank you for that clarification. I'll yield. If I have another question, I'll come back in the queue.
Trustee Barron?
Yes, thank you again, Madam President. So thank you very much about enlightening us about well, I'm going to call it an update. You call it what it's your like. I think it's an update, so I think we're on the same page with that. Thank you so very much. I do have a question. There was a question raised about whether we had the in-house expertise to be able to perform this. Can you please explain why we had to go, of course, outside to get this service? I think it's a pretty relevant question.
Absolutely. Great question, members of the board. Brandon McLaughlin for the record. Trustee Brown, great question. The team does have, I'd say, the intellectual ability. The thing we struggle with is we are an extremely large district with limited staff availability for robust efforts such as this. I have a comprehensive planning group, which includes our demographic zoning, as well as our real property team that would lead that effort, but they are very focused on the output of our revision 5 to the capital improvement plan already underway. So to task the level of rigor that I believe this effort needs and warrants to get the outcome we want, which is a very community-driven capital improvement plan to the future, I don't think we have the personnel with the capacity to do it internally.
Trustee Brooks?
Thank you, Madam President. I am going to make a motion to approve the consent agenda, but I also want to note that the board did receive a briefing on this item, and they also received follow-up after the briefing that included both of the bids for this particular contract. So with that, I'm making a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Trustee Brooks. Trustee Bustamante Adams?
I'd like to second that motion.
Thank you, Trustee Bustamante Adams. Colleagues, we have a motion by Trustee Brooks, a second by Trustee Bustamante Adams. Please cast your vote. Thank you, colleagues. That motion passes 5-1. All right, we're going to turn it over to Trustee Guzman, who's going to read the warrants.
Thank you, President Garcia Morales. Ratified warrants is listed in the bills payable transmittal and board memorandum number 05-24-25 in the total amount of $276,333,340.18.
Thank you very much, Trustee Guzman. Colleagues, we're going to move on to item 3.01. That's the superintendent search, presentation and discussion with HYA on the draft leadership profile, which includes the survey report and focus group analysis and possible action regarding the approval of the draft leadership profile. This is an action item, so if members of the public would like to provide public comment on it, I